orbit till it shatters through the ocean. I wanna make shockwaves. I wanna make shockwaves with you. Gonna move the ocean current.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, cats and dogs, and other fun animals, this is Reentry here with episode 4 of Kerbal Space Chronicles. Now, we just got finished with Project Atlanta Mark II in the last episode, which finally got us to orbit. That got us a whole bunch of new parts and some new contracts, namely the Explore Kerbal contract, which you see at the top of my Contracts Plus window. Return to Kerbal from orbit, which is why I've got the crewed space capsule. I'm not going to put any crew in it on this trip. I want to see if it'll work first. This is a Prometheus 2 rocket. I ended up ordering the parts for that with a couple of SRBs at the bottom to give that little extra kick. We also have a couple of science experiments to repeat in orbit, but this time we need to recover the data instead of just transmitting it back, which is great because we have this capsule that we need to bring back anyway. So we're going to go ahead, knock this mission out, collect those contracts, which will give us a lot more funds, a couple more science points, and then we'll be able to see where we're at with purchasing new parts and going on to bigger and better things. Because I think once we start going to the moon, which is entirely a possibility in the coming episodes, maybe even in this one, we'll have a lot more fun. So we're going to go ahead and build this rocket to go to the launch pad, and I'll see you in a moment. Now, before we go ahead and get too far ahead of ourselves here, one thing I do want to show you is the administration building, because we are going to be playing into these strategies soon, especially once I get more reputation. To boldly go is going to become an important strategy, especially once I can get the 3rd version. This will give us extra funds for new biomes, new celestial bodies, bodies other than Kerbal, which we'll be doing a lot of later on. But that only happens in the 3rd version. Either way, the 2nd version is pretty good, but we need a lot more reputation. We need to build up our reputation quite a bit. Local science will also be useful, but we're going to go ahead and take a look at those in future episodes. For right now, I'm not using any of these, but we'll definitely keep that going, and we'll be right back with the launch of Project Austin. And we're here with the launch of Project Austin. Now, really quick, suddenly wasn't sure if my settings were right, actually. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to run this launch in 2 times physical time acceleration, because you guys have already seen me get into orbit. And I'm going to do it with the Smart ASS, so that way I can run it at 2 times regular speed. Disable hibernation, although I don't really need it in this particular case, so we're going to go ahead and go into 2 times physical time acceleration. Boom and boom. So we're running at 2 times regular speed here. Solids are gone. Just giving us that initial kick. And the Prometheus is going to go ahead and carry us into orbit. It's easier if I do it the clicky way, it works better. Now, since we need to get into high orbit, that means we need to get to at least 1,000 kilometers. We need to get to 1,000,000 meters. But we still need to pick up a lot of lateral velocity, too. Speed is life. Altitude is life insurance. Blech. And first stage is out. Staging and 2nd stage away. So now we're into the 2nd stage burn, and we're actually on our final course. So I'm going to go ahead and put it in 3 times physical time acceleration. 5 times, excuse me. I forgot I changed my physics defs. So we're in 5 times physical time acceleration now for this part of the burn. And since we are clear of the atmosphere, I'm going to go to 0. And we're getting close to burnout. 600, 700, 800, 900, 1,000 kilometers. I'm going to get it up to 1.2. Actually, to about 1.3. And we're going to go ahead and coast around. I could theoretically take crew reports, because this capsule is automated. But that would be cheating, because there aren't any actual crew in here. And yes, I know, Kerbal looks like garbage. I'm going to try installing the higher resolution version of stock visual enhancements, because I can do that. It's just stock visual terrain that was giving me trouble. Okay, go ahead and give me orbital prograde. Let's take those science readings while we're up here. Take the microwave, keep the data. Take the barometer, and keep the data. So now we've got those. I'm going to go ahead and collect them into the capsule container. Now we just need to kick into orbit, which is now done. So, contract completed. Or mostly, we just have to get back home now. Now, actually, we can turn the whole thing back around. I'm actually going to let us go once around just to confirm the contract. That's my brother coming down the stairs.
Hello.
And then we're going to go ahead and get into retrograde for the burn back to Kerbal. There's that beautiful sunflower. I do love that sunflower. It's a little messy if you get close to it, because the yellow sun is actually still underneath there. I need to find something that changes that. But we're going to go ahead and bring this thing back home for a re-entry. I want to get down to about 50 kilometers periaps, because that's what I found is about the optimal for this particular capsule. A little bit lower than I wanted, about 49.7, but that'll be fine. And we didn't even end up using the service module on the capsule here. I'm going to go ahead and decouple. Make sure that has plenty of time to get on its own course. We're going to go surface velocity negative, so that way we get... Yeah, you see the yellow sun is still under there. It's kind of weird, but hey, the sunflare itself still looks good. And now we are re-entering. We're going to go ahead and do that at 2 times regular speed. I'm going to get rid of the contracts window. Okay, 93, 92. And our periaps is dropping. Our apoaps is not dropping as much as I'd like it to, though. Heat shield is heating up. This is why I didn't want any crew in this particular vehicle, just in case I mixed something up. Oh! I think we're hearing bits explode on the other spacecraft. It's slowing down a lot more quickly than we are, given that it is mostly an empty fuel tank. Here we go, re-entry. And I have the mod that enables that awesome re-entry fire behind us. Man, that looks cool. And what you learn if you do any research into ablative heat shields is that some of these heat shields were made of cork. And the whole idea was that the cork would burn away before you started burning a hole in the spacecraft. It would ablate away, that's what they're called, an ablative heat shield, in order to safeguard the spacecraft behind it. And that's why you get these blunt end configuration spacecraft, is for that ablative heat shield on it. You could have a regenerative cooling system, but it'd have to be large and heavy and all of that. Ablative heat shield, it was cheap, it could be relatively light by comparison, and it works, you know. I mean, it worked for all of the space shuttle mission, or all of the, not the space shuttle, the Mercury, Gemini, and Apollo missions. The space shuttles did other things. They used thermal protection tiles and stuff, but these just use good old-fashioned ablative heat shields. And we're coming down over the mountains, it looks like. It's telling me I can do a crew report, but again, I don't have any crew on board, so that would be kind of cheating. No, we're going to come down in the Highlands, and I'm going to decouple and arm this parachute. And we're passing through the cloud layer now. Yeah, I need to get the higher resolution textures for stock visual enhancements. That'll make things look a lot better, especially with the cloud layer. Stock visual terrain was just what was weirding out my computer. So yeah, and 5 times physical time acceleration. The parachute just deployed. We're back to normal speed. And then back into 5 times for just a little bit to go ahead and get us down to the ground in a relatively quick time manner. Back to 2, and that just exploded. And there we go. We are home. We are home, and we have done it. Safe return from orbit. Taking our first steps towards exploring Kerbal. Return to the surface from orbit. First return from orbit of Kerbal. New strategies available. We got all sorts of stuff. And once we recover the vessel, we should complete those other 2 things. Just do a normal recovery. Because the way Kerbal construction time recovery works is weird. It just gives me the vessel back at the VAB. And I think it would actually allow me to build something underneath it. I'm not entirely sure how that works. I'm going to have to look more into that. But we'll be right back at the Space Center. And we are back at the Space Center. If we go ahead and check down here, first recovery achievement, and we completed those 2 contracts, which got us a smooth about $300 million, about 310, 315, whatever. Excuse me. But that is going to do it for this episode. Stay tuned for the outro. Here's just one of the patrons helping to make this content possible. If you want to see your name here, pledge at least $10 on my Patreon page. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up. If you like the channel, subscribe, or join us on our Discord and Facebook communities. If you really want to support the creative journey, either buy me a coffee for a one-time donation, or become a patron. Links to both pages are also in the description. In the meantime, this is Arinia, signing off.